Oh, well, welcome back. I'm sorry. Here I am. 9:57. A little bit of change. Lacy McDonald back in the studio, and a flying circus came into Alton 100 years ago.
Yes.
Fill me in.
All right. So 100 years ago, the Marie Meyer Flying Circus came to the area. They performed in a flying field near Wood River on Saturday, July 25th and Sunday, July 26th. And one of the things that was special about this, and this is actually the second time I've talked about a flying circus on your show, but...
it is. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
It is the second time.
It's the second time. Big thing in 1924, 1925. So the big thing about this one, the unique thing about this one is that Marie Meyer was said to be the only woman stunt flying in the country at this time. So I think in the last article I did have some information about a stunt flyer who was a woman who flew later, but at least in 1925 when they were promoting this show, she was well known, especially in the area, as that was a unique thing. And she was the owner of the company. So, her name is on it. The plane said Marie Meyer Flying Circus. And her husband was one of the other pilots. And his name had a different last name. His name was Charles Fowler. And he and Bertie Brooks, along with Marie Meyer, were the three pilots that were
really cool
flying in the circus.
I'm guessing a lot of people were at this.
Well, I think so. There were all these articles about what was going to happen. And then there was one very short article on July 27th that said that the Flying Circus was a great success and many attended during the 2 days and enjoyed the affair. And absolutely nothing about what actually happened.
Well,
You know. If you were there, you knew. So you didn't.
Can I just say something?
Yeah.
It's because there wasn't a crowd.
Right. It's what we talked about. Like, if it says like the thousands of people that came or the biggest event ever, then that might mean that there weren't a lot of people.
I'm just going to throw that out there. I don't know why, though, because there wasn't like a lot of attractions back then. So was the flying circus just bad the year prior, or like what the...
No, I think it was really hot.
Ah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And it might have been that there were a lot of people that came. It might have been that the Telegraph person didn't go see the show and just
were hot.
Third hand. They were hot. Yeah, so I'm not sure, but according to pictures, and these photos are not specifically from the Alton or the Wood River show. These are ones that they had available in other places, like the Missouri History Museum has quite a few photos because Marie Meyer is from St. Louis. So
Gotcha.
That was really exciting. So like the photo I used at the front is a picture of her and her husband, and you can kind of see that the plane says Marie Meyer Flying Circus on it. But she
did some crazy stunts. She was upside down hanging out of an airplane by her feet.
I was so glad I found this photo because I read the description of the loop-de-loop where she stood on the top of the plane and a different pilot did a loop-de-loop, and I didn't believe that was... Like, I was like, they can't mean this.
It was actually just a mannequin that they put close.
Yeah, but she literally, so then I found this photo. It's grainy, but you can see she literally stood on top of the plane. I don't know if her feet were strapped in or centrifugal force kept her in place or what, but they did a literal loop-de-loop in the air and she came out of it.
Now, newspaper articles also advertised a race between three planes of the circus.
Yes.
A 3,000-foot parachute drop. So
Yes.
I was up 500 feet parasailing. That seemed like $1 million.
Yeah, 3,000 is a lot.
And you're in 1925 without any of the regulations or safety requirements of doing this.
Right.
Just want to throw that out there.
Yes.
That's the biggest thing.
The biggest, well, and that's a big part about how we're talking about the second flying circus on this set of articles, because so the Marie Meyer Flying Circus operated from 1924 to 1928, and that was kind of the heyday. It was right after World War I. There were a whole bunch of small planes that were no longer needed, and so the military was selling things off and anybody could just buy one, and it was before they had a lot of regulations on flying. So this section of the 20s was huge for these kind of like personal flying circus companies to just travel around and do these shows. It's kind of crazy.
Well, and now I just don't understand, like, you know, what's crazy to me is you look back at all these things from, like, not even just the 20s, but even, like, I mean, it gets crazier the earlier you go, or the later you go back, which is weird to say because later would be, like, in my mind, like 1990 and not 1890. But you look at these things, and why did people do the things they did? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, let me ask you this question for a critical thought.
Okay.
You and I weren't born in 1890. We weren't career people by 1925.
No.
But we are now. Has any thought in your brain said, Lacy, go out to the yard, grab a plane, and hang upside down from it in front of 500 people, and that's your career? Well, like, what led to the thought process of I'm going to be flying in a plane upside down hanging from my feet?
They didn't have as much entertainment.
I understand that, but this is like death-defying entertainment. You know, like, you go to an air show, like, there's 8,000 air shows, and maybe one or twice a year we hear, like, of a crash. These people are hanging up by their shoelaces, driving in a plane with no capsule.
Right, but
they're crop dusters.
Yeah. Well, okay, fair, but and it's not like this for Marie because I know she wasn't a fighter pilot in World War I.
Right.
But there were a lot of pilots, military pilots.
I heard that.
Yeah, that then they already knew how to fly. This was an interesting thing to do. Maybe they loved flying, and this was a way to continue to be able to do it. But I don't know. I mean,
what the hell? Did they people get married up in this plane?
Oh, okay. So,
like, I'm reading this. I'm so sorry for cutting you off.
No,
but like, I'm looking at
this
this, and it's like only 5 people have been, only 5 marriages performed. They got married in the air?
Okay, so one of the reasons I wrote about this and that I was excited about it is because the kind of shtick that the Marie Meyer Flying Circus had is that they offered weddings in the air, free wedding, and it was kind of sponsored by wherever they were. So I think in the Quincy Whig Journal in Quincy, Illinois, the newspaper was
that a political paper?
No.
You know what I'm saying there? Did you
Maybe at one point.
Because of the Whig Party.
I get it.
Was it spelled W-I-G or W-H-I-G? That's very important.
It was W-H-I-G.
Oh, CJ was right with the political paper. The Whig Party was dead by then.
No, I know. That's why I think it could have been initially. But by 1925, they're not trying to promote the Whig Party. That would have been little overkill. And I think it was the Fort Madison Evening Democrat and Fort Madison, Iowa both had articles about it.
All right,
but they mentioned the weddings, and it was like the newspaper would sponsor the wedding permit, that kind of thing.
Just to throw this out here.
Yes.
Just for our sanity.
Yes.
The Whig Party newspapers, there was only 7 in the United States.
Oh, really?
And they were the Advocate, the Boston Atlas, the Brownlow's Whig, the Catalonian Record, the Oregon, the Pilot and Transcript, and the Warsaw Signal. The Warsaw Signal.
Now you know.
Just wanted to throw that out. So there was not a Whig Party. To me, it's so crazy about the Whig Party. Like, the only party that truly got in their own way. They could have been successful for like a million years.
Yeah.
You know?
We could be Whigs right now.
I don't know.
Now I'm curious about how they got their name. Might have to check that out. Anyway, so these weddings were offered. So a couple could go up in the airplane, get married. The pilot was the witness. It was an official wedding. So this newspaper article at the Fort Madison Evening Democrat in August, so a little bit after this, stated that 5 marriages had been performed in the air. And I think that meant like in the air, not.
No, it was. It was 1,000% in the air.
And 3 of them were performed in planes operated by the Marie Meyer Flying Circus. So
who employed these pilots? Like, what were their qualifications? Were they Air Force pilots and all that, or were like they crop dusters?
She was official. I don't know. Bertie Brooks was a movie stunt flyer. I don't know as much about Charles Fowler. I do know that Marie started taking flying lessons in her late teens, and she passed the Aero Club of America licensing in 1921. So when she was 20, so like 1922. So she was only like 19, or she was only like 25 when she was doing this. In 1922, she bought her own plane, started giving demonstrations, and then after a couple of years, actually formed the Flying Circus.
Wow.
So, yeah, I don't know exactly what her qualifications were, but I do know that she took flying lessons, trained with people, like officially was licensed, all of that stuff.
This is so fascinating. And honestly, it's one of those things to where, like, and this might sound sexist, and I'm just going to kind of clarify by saying that first because I don't know a better way to phrase this, but you wouldn't think that a woman in 1925 would have the opportunity, I think is the best word, instead of just decision, but the opportunity to literally be the source of entertainment for tens of thousands of people throughout the country. And I think that's such an important thing to kind of touch on, that we talk about, sexism and women didn't have the right to vote until the suffrage movement. And even after that, it still took a little bit of time. And the 3/5 law back in 1864, 65, like there's all these weird things. What happened to where like some people, in a way, in your opinion, just because you've done all the research, I hate to say it this way, but like slip through the cracks and break through the proverbial glass ceiling. Yes. How does that happen? And I find that fascinating to me.
I think that's a really good point to bring up. I think that it's not sexist for you to say, it's highlighting the sexism. Yeah, and I think I just wanted to be clarified because I'm not like against women doing this in 1925 at all. It's just like, like Marie broke through the glass ceiling because she was that source. I mean, she was the name of the company. Right. And and I think that's important to highlight because it's so rare. Exactly. And I found it really interesting that she was already married to Charles Fowler, and she was not only going by Marie Meyer, but it was the Marie Meyer Flying Circus. It wasn't Charlie in there at all. It was her. And that's what I just like, to me, like my mind doesn't wrap around that because of just what we know from the general consensus of events that happened, pre-women feminism movement. I think it usually is a combination of factors. Okay. Like finding those opportunities. She lived near an airfield in St. Louis and knew from a really early age that this is what she wanted to do. So I'm sure she worked super hard to make it happen. A supportive spouse. If you were a woman in this time period and you got married or wanted to get married, you needed to make sure you were marrying someone that would support your vision for what your life was going to look like. And who wouldn't hinder you. Yeah, truly. Yeah. So not only is she impressive, thing as now. Yes, that is true. So because you would be fighting against societal norms, having and probably her family was supportive as well. And, like we've talked about, like John Adams, he was like he got made fun of because his wife was basically the decision maker in a lot of his political moves and things like that, and was very active in his campaigns and wrote letters and all of these things. But like in 1780 whatever, that was almost like witchcraft at that point in time. I mean, not to be tongue-in-cheek, but just to be honest with how we thought about the opposite sex as the time. Right. And like when you get to here, though, there's still these like little spurts of people that are going, well, they're my partner, they aren't my property type of thing. And it's really fascinating to see how the partners in that marriage, thrived because of the dynamic in which it was held. Yes. And you're right. I mean, even now, hell yeah. It's a whole lot easier to get ahead either way, but specifically as a woman, if you're in a partnership where your spouse is supportive of what your ambitions are. So what was your biggest takeaway from this article? Well, I will say one thing. I thought that I was writing about something else. I mentioned something else when we talked last week. And then I realized that the article that I was writing was actually from 1927 instead of 1925. So that'll be all ready for 2 years from now. But just the photos. This was really fun. I saw the article, and a lot of times I see an article and I can't find more information. Like I just kind of have to figure it out, or I have to just work with what I have. But with Marie Meyer, there was so much that didn't make it in about her life because I'm sure there was a lot out there. And I'm 1,000% sure of that. I love that there are authors and historians who have already done work on her. There were some great photos, as I mentioned, at the Missouri History Museum. One was her flying through the middle of downtown St. Louis. So like they did this pretty dangerous stunt, like flying through the buildings a couple years before this. That's right. Yeah, okay. There were a lot of people before me that had already been impressed by her and had started to tell her story. Interesting. And so I really like that. To me, it's a good Lifetime movie. It would be a good Lifetime movie. Like, I'm not even being funny. I know it sounds like stupid where someone's go, oh, great joke. It's not a joke. Like, I really think this could be so fascinating. And, like, honestly, like, even a movie of, like, Robert Wadlow would be cool as hell. I think there are so many things. They need to call Dan Bray. He has the best book about Robert Wadlow. Like, I'm not saying, like, because he works here or anything, but, like,
Yeah, I really am not. But if you guys haven't read Boy Giant yet, like it really is a great piece. And we just had a story out about the 40th anniversary of the Wadlow statue. Did you see that one?
No.
And Dan pulled some stuff from the Boy Giant and Steve Tassinari when they built the statue. Really good stuff. And I know you'd be interested in it. But it's just things like that where people like, you know, a Marie Meyer who didn't make our history books, obviously.
Right.
But you know, for our ancestors and people that are on our family tree, we're a source of it. Like, I can guarantee you, if you polled 100 people, you know, 20 to 30% of those families would go, yeah, we have a photo or we have something from the Marie Meyer, you know, flying circus.
Right. Well, and I don't think that they had children. And so it's
that's
even
fascinating
more,
too.
Yeah, even more impressive that her story has come down. And one of the St. Louis Historic Preservation, their website, had an article, and then there was, do I have it on here? Oh, there's a book called In Her Place, A Guide to St. Louis Women's History that had a section on her, and I really want to go back and read more of the sections in there, because I'm sure that there are a whole bunch of different women that would be fascinating. And the Missouri Historical Society Press put that out.
Well,
so,
Lacy, I love what you're doing with these.
Thank you.
It's so fascinating. And just, you know, because I think sometimes too, and I don't know how to phrase this because we got to talk to Centerstone here in a second, but I'm not saying everyone. Maybe 1%, but even 1% of 7 billion is still a pretty big number. Mm-hmm. It's, you know, we put in our own minds that we can't accomplish things given our circumstance. And some of the times it's true because of just the way financials work and the way, like, I don't think it's a color thing. I think it's more of a wealth class thing now. And we're just kind of hindered because of the way the class systems work. But when you hear stories of like a Marie Meyer, who in 1925, you know, and before that, achieved everything that she set her mind to, it's a motivating factor, whether you're a young kid or you're a young woman, or it doesn't even matter the gender or race or anything. It just shows that, hey, if you truly set your mind to something, you surround yourself with people that are supportive.
Yes.
And that's the biggest thing is finding that loved one that says, you know what, you might be on the road for 50 weeks, but for 2 weeks I'm with you type of deal. It can still be achievable given just your circle. And I think that's so important to talk about and kind of highlight as we wrap this up.
Yeah.
Good one. I'm proud of you. This was a great story. And man, Charles looks pretty happy next to Marie.
I think that he was a
No,
like
why
a
didn't
fan.
she take his last name?
Why didn't she? She may have later.
Oh, but it wasn't like a public. Well, I'm sure for a branding name, you wouldn't change it if you've been in the paper as Marie Meyer for.
And I don't know when they got. I'd have to look up like when they got married, when she like formed the Marie Meyer Flying Circus, how they met, because I don't know if they met because she was. Like he was flying with her. Like I really would love to know that timeline, because it could be like, you know, if now like you're established in your profession, and then you get married and you're a woman, you keep your maiden name because you're already published in, you know, your name. It could be something like that. It could have been a really deliberate decision. I don't know, but. Yeah, both of them are just fascinating to me.
Well, Lacy, thank you so much for accommodating your schedule to me today. It's always great to talk with you. We'll talk with you next Wednesday.
I won't be here next week.
What?
Sorry.
You just threw this on me, didn't you?
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Sorry.
When are you coming back?
I'll be back the Wednesday after. Yeah, I'll be on vacation.
That's fair. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks.
10:15, a little bit of change. Our conversations, if you guys are tuning in the last couple of weeks, we're at Centerstone's Resource Fair, and really cool. They had about 55 different vendors, all from the area, on different resources and opportunities that are there at the YWCA. It was
great.
On not the maybe it was last. I think these weeks are running together. I think it was 2 Saturdays ago. But the bottom line is, I had a ton of fun, and I learned about so much. And on the last Wednesday of each month and the first Wednesday of each month, we talk to Centerstone. Charity Thompson will join us next right here on our daily show. After about a minute and a half break, and we pay my bills and make all the sponsors happy right after this.